I got an excess of black bile, high irascibility, contemplating checking myself into facility, mental ability clearly affected, deep in the dumps, down and dejected.
I've been in low power mode, in low power mode, been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear. I've been in low. I've been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear.
Hello, happy 2022, and welcome to the very first episode of Low Power Mode, the podcast. I'm your host, Breezy, and welcome to my safe space. I am best known for being a rapper in Berlin. Shout out Berlin, love you. You are my heart and soul. And but the past few years, I've been dealing with health issues among, trying to make it as an artist in Corona. And it's been tough. And lately I've spent a lot of time, by lately, I mean like the past 5, 10 years, 15. I spent a lot of time watching TV alone, watching stuff on the internet, YouTube, music videos. And I used to feel like this was a negative thing, like go get up, go outside, go do this, go do that. But when your health is suffering, like you have to turn in and you have to delve into stories and media and things. You have a different relationship because you're almost relying on stories, videos, music, TV, movies, all sorts of stuff, in order to stay steady, in order to keep going. So this podcast is my entree into like the infinite universe of TV, movies, music videos, artists, the entertainment industry, the Black entertainment industry, the intersections of Blackness, of queerness. There's so much going on, and it's getting better and better, which for those of us who struggle with depression, anxiety, things that debilitate you from just going on and doing your thing, it's slowly looking better. So that's where this is coming from. I have a song called Low Power Mode from my Tragic Mulatto EP from 2018. And it was my first time really presenting as depressed and tying that to racial identity and gender identity and stuff like that. And I've continued to do that with my music, and it's so incredible because the only place I really can do that. But doing the podcast is going to be an opportunity for me to share all of these amazing artists who I've worked with, artists who I admire, filmmakers, creators, writers, comedy writers, models, friggin', I don't know, RuPaul, drag queens. Like there's so much stuff going on that makes me feel better. So that's the point of this podcast, to share those things that I super appreciate and love to analyze and talk about with you. So yeah, with that, I'm going to roll into the first segment. Music. Okay, so I just attempted to organize and do like a first segment, but it didn't go so well. And I'm just like, Why do I need to create all these extra things? I just want to talk about stuff. So we're going to dive right into it, and I want to start with music. So without getting too deep into my journey, the latest thing that came out under Breezy was Breezy Schläft noch, featuring Astan and Natalie Greffel. And this was such an incredible collaboration on the Schwarzfahren album that came out in early July of this year. Schwarzfahren, it's translates to black riding, so, or like riding without fare. So there's so much to unpack within that, but basically I wanted to make an album that highlighted other black, femme, or non-binary or like trans folks in Berlin. And because there's such a beautiful community, and I was able to kind of like skim the surface this summer of that community, and I plan to and want to become more involved in that community, supporting that community. I'm a part of that community. So yeah, Schwarzfahren was like such a beautiful opportunity to be able to do 12 tracks with other badass black like people I fucking look up to or love or just wanted to collab with. So Astan, we've worked in a bunch of shit. We worked on Savage Rap. Astan is so powerful as an artist, works a lot with the Sonic Intervention collective, with Nane and Dumama and Kerim and all them, and Exose, but what I love is Astan is like the most badass like rapper, mama, model, like director, curator, like artiste, and shares a biracial or you know, has one parent from France, a white parent from France, and a parent from, I believe, Mali. And this, I love this intersection, obviously, but then also like, I don't know, Astan's embracing of culture is just so beautiful. And she just came out with this single called Charcoal. I'll put the video in the description. But she has her baby girl Kimia in it, and she's rapping in Berlin in Kapusator neighborhood area, and I recognize the spots, and just seeing her and Kimia put their rapper stank all over the city like that. It's just so powerful. And she speaks to like the ancestral line, and I'm black and I'm white and I'm proud. And it's really hard to have this identity of having a black identity and understanding what that means, and having a white identity, understanding what that means, and kind of reconciling. I don't know exactly what like the African continent, European continent dynamic is, you know. I'm like biracial American. I don't know. There's so many identities, so many labels you can say, but so yeah, her embracing her heritage in this way, I think, is super powerful. And Natalie, oh my God, Natalie is a dope ass bassist and jazz singer, studied in Brazil, shares also African and Euro heritage. So, my mixed chicks, like my fucking badass, like, I don't know. It's just so cool to be in the company of these people. You got to check out Natalie's Colors show. I'll put that in the description as well. But I got to see her concert at was it Gretchen? I believe it was Gretchen in Berlin over the summer. It was so beautiful. Not only her incredible voice that just seemed to like float up and down and everywhere and full of soul as well, but what she would say in between, the messages that she would, talking about like toxic ass love songs and stuff that we grew up with, where it's like, I'll do anything for you, I'll lay down my life on the tracks for you. It's like, that's so not healthy. So these are my girls, these are my people. I'm so grateful to know them, to have worked with them. And then I asked Astan to direct the video. I figured like when you're working with that type of visual artist, just give the funding where the funding needs to happen and let them do their thing. So it was so cool to have Astan, who was working with Itsuki, shout out Itsuki, at the time. Astan was like, I think we could work with this director. He does this really cool visual thing, and I think it's gonna work perfectly for Breezy schläft noch, because it's about like dreaming and like, not set in the day-to-day awakeness. It's like in this other realm. So it was so cool to be like under Astan and Itsuki's direction for this music video. And it turned out so dope. I love it so much. So super shout out to Itsuki for following through and creating something amazing, like with Astan's vision, and Natalie got in the video. So just the three of us, to see the three of us all together in this fucking cool ass video effect. I love it. So definitely check out not only Breezy schläft noch music video, but Astan and Natalie as well. Check their shit out. Hey, it's me. I'm back. I got kind of hungry, so crushed some tortilla chips and we're back. In other music news, two things. First, Stromae dropped a new song. I think it's like another single with the music video from his new album, Multitude. It's probably like Multitude. Like, I don't know how to say it in French, but he is so incredible. If you don't know who Stromae is, father from Rwanda, mother Flemish, so like Belgium, and he grew up in Belgium, and also, again, mixed heritage, Afro-Euro sensibility. So I think that makes him super special, and he also bends gender in a way that's so beautiful. I will put Tous les mêmes, the song Tous les mêmes in the description too, so you can check it out, because oh my god, I mean, he's a beautiful AMAB, assigned male at birth individual, tall, toffee colored skin, lanky, like kind of curly, wavy hair, and oh my god, I'm getting turned on. He's very I don't mean to, objectify Stromae, but very good looking individual. I'm sure he knows. And I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, Tous les mêmes. So he does this music video where one half of him has, femme, more womanly hair, style, makeup, and then the other half of him has more like masculine hair and makeup and stuff. And he's like flipping between a man in bed and a woman in bed, and it's so, I love this stuff, like stuff in the space of androgyny or non-binary or like just let me get with who I want to get with, sort of stuff. The choreography in that video is just incredible. I think it helped define Stromae as an artist, and his video work is just so good. He started this brand called Mozart that is like the creative production behind his music videos. He does fashion, he does clothing. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Stromae, and this latest one that he dropped called L'Enfer or something, again, French, L'Enfer, that's my best attempt. Okay, so we start out with like some sort of African sounding choral a cappella like voices, and then Stromae's voice comes in with this piano. He loved this like dark minor chord piano stuff, and it's stunning. This music video is so stunning because it's one of those very simple music videos in the sense that they start with a close-up of his left eye. Slowly, gradual pan out until eventually panning out into what turns into his right eye. So we kind of like start at the beginning, but it's his other eye. And we've only panned out. We're not going back in. So I love this already. And it's just very simple, like one color going on, and he's performing in French, so because there's several clues you can get from the music and everything, but then the actual topics, the specifics of what Stromae is talking about, I have no idea until I actually look it up. So without knowing all that, there's still so much beauty going on in this music video. And oh my God, the hairstyle that he's rocking, it reminds me of Alexis Mateo from Drag Race. This kind of like tightly pulled back, with like some hair wrapped around like a very high ponytail, and then it's like very long hair. So I don't know if that's his hair. I'm guessing it's extensions, but hair phenomenal. The clothing, it's like combination of Stromae's signature and like with like a touch of Kanye because of the color, and like a zip up, jacket, sort of turtleneck deal with like a sweat pant, but it has that like crease down the pant, so it's like a suit. It's like a suit pant, but it's probably made out of really comfy material and like these futuristic looking sneakers and stuff. I'm sure he's gonna drop it on his clothing line on Mozart as like a capsule. That's gonna be, it's just smart marketing. Know who you are, know what you do, know what you like, and then everything feeds into one another. So after all that beauty, right? After all of that, and these African ominous, chorus, turning into this, like kind of dubby, electronic, stuttery sound. Oh, I love this sound. Stromae's been with his band for a very long time, so they've developed this space between like or symphony orchestra and hip hop and like electronic, multiple forms of electronic music. It's awesome. It's awesome. And I think his band members are also like mixed heritage as well. So I love that. So he on YouTube releases it. It's the first language is English. You know, the official music video for Stromae, L'Enfer. And then links, of course, Mozart label, all the credits, lyrics in French, and then lyrics in English. I appreciate that, you know. I would have easily put it into Google Translate, but for my own work, I think like, yeah, it's good to have that double anytime you can fit more languages and stuff without being too clunky. It's a tough line to walk. But some of the lyrics in this video, like, I'm not alone in feeling all alone. That's already one less thing in my head. And if I counted all of us, we'd be many. Everything I've been thinking about, it's crazy how many people have thought just the same. And even that doesn't help me feeling less alone, actually. Sometimes I've had suicidal thoughts and I'm not proud of. Sometimes you feel it'd be the only way to silence them. All these thoughts putting me through hell. All these thoughts putting me through hell. Like, and this is someone who has been in the game, experienced successes, has children, has a family, but still like the level of desperation and the mental struggle, this sort of depiction of the mental health struggle is what I'm so grateful for in Stromae's work. Damn, like just so good, so deep. So highly recommend you check out this work. He's incredible and he keeps it 100% real, and I love that. So yeah, check out all of these things. I'll put them in the description, of course. And then finally, I don't want to say too much about it, but next month I've got a music video coming that I have never been more proud of, like any work that I've done in my whole entire life. So, as you know, including securing the funding and hiring an incredible group of people to go on this journey with me. So I am so pumped to share it with y'all. We're going to take a break. More on that in weeks to come, but get ready. Okay, see you in a second. Okay, hey, welcome back. Thank you for sticking through my music section. Now we're going to move on to TV. I kind of hate the holidays, and I hate how I have to wait for shows. You know, it's excruciating. It's like, like returning after 3 weeks, and you're like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do during that time? No, it's fine. It's fine, Abbott Elementary. No, I'm going to talk about Blackish and Abbott Elementary. Blackish, Kenya Barris's creation on ABC, not NBC, ABC. I love it. I love it so much. I think it's like the most middle ground we can get as Black Americans. And yeah, there's so much that's so funny and relatable in this show. But this season is the farewell season, and this episode is called That's What Friends Are For. And oh, it was so good. Basically, it's about Dre and Bo having couple friends, and and Bo dragging Dre to a fundraiser for when we all vote or something like this, great cause. And Dre's super not into it, doesn't care about anything his family's got going on. She's like, leave me out of it. And then they see Michelle Obama at the fundraiser. And of course, the fundraiser's chock full of white people. So as Black, wealthy, recognized people in the community, there was an instant, connection. So it was so funny. It was so awesome to see Michelle on TV in this capacity, like on a TV show like this, like Blackish. And oh man, I don't know. I just thought Bo and Dre coming in after the fundraiser with those McDonald's fries, shoving fries in their mouth and being like, you're never gonna believe who we became friends with. Just like immediately shoving it in their families' faces. So funny. And then, of course, when Michelle ends up coming over, despite Bo and Dre's requests, everyone, including Ruby, so funny. Oh, Jennifer Lewis, so funny. Something about the governor, and then just hugging Michelle, being like, I love you so much. She's the one who made it okay having your mother live with you. Something like that. I was like, oh my Lord. What a hectic mess that if I was in Bo and Dre's position, I would obviously be horrified, but at the same time, just it's all love, because it's and Michelle says that too. It's Black community loving up on Black community. So, what a beautiful episode to ring in the new year, kick off the final season of Blackish, which has been with us for 8 years now. It's big. So, and Janine, a white maid. Can I come? I can be your white maid. Wouldn't that be something? Oh my God, Janine. So funny. I mean, it's just these little moments in this show. Also, like how when they finally get a moment's peace and Bo's about to, do her thing with her Jamaican accent, and I'm like ready to cringe, and they do the cut to the Dionne Warwick montage of That's What Friends Are For. It's like an animated montage of them like on a riverboat and doing silly, funny shit. I loved it. I thought it was so creative, and especially if you're going to have Michelle Obama come film, like what a great use of her time. Like instead of filming those of actually her, like them having this this like animated fantasy night out. So well done. I love it. I love the storytelling. I love it so much. And yeah, the messages around Black couple friends and being unicorns and token. I mean, come on. Like if you grew up as a person of color in a white society, like fully white society, like me, like you understand that tokenness, that unicornness, and that sense of like finding your people and looking in the right places for them. Yeah, so this show, freaking love it. And then of course at the end, Dre, talking to Bo all about like, yeah, honey, you can go hang out with Michelle. Me and Dwayne Wade are me and Dwayne and Gab are gonna go hit the county fair. Like who? What? So ridiculous. Oh, I love how Bo's just so knowing. She's like, oh, honey, like, oh, jeez. Should have went with Will and Jada. So good. Love it. Love you guys. Y'all over at Blackish, you're killing it. Okay, next I want to pivot to ABC's other hot black Marvel. I mean hot, and not in the sense of sexy, in the sense of poppin'. Abbott Elementary, created by Quinta Brunson. So I was super late in the game with Quinta. Like, I didn't understand her genius and brilliance until a Black Lady sketch show. Robin Thede, Issa Rae producing, like that. If you haven't seen a Black Ladies, like, I'll do a whole thing on a Black Lady sketch show, but you need to go see it now. Even if it's watching the YouTube sketches, it's phenomenal. So, Quinta was not in the second season of a Black Lady sketch show, and there was talks about her doing her own show, and I was like, good for her, even though it missed her, it missed her. It's still brilliant, but it did miss her. So then Abbott Elementary came out in December, like before the full holiday break, and just hysterical. Okay, so what we're given here is a Office, Parks and Rec mockumentary style show. Not you would think it's not different than what we've seen before. However, set in a black, like, underfunded, nothing works, everything's like, everyone's just trying to make do with what they can, elementary school in Philly. And it is so funny. The characters are amazing. You have Jacob, who's like the nerdy white guy who thinks he is up with black people because he's been to Africa, and you've got Janine. Quinta plays the main character, Janine. And I painfully identify with Janine. She is so giving of herself, cares about the kids, heart in the right place. She went to that elementary school. She went and got her teaching degree and wanted to come back and, help other kids get through the experience. And it's so good. So relatable to my years with City Year. When I was 19, I moved out to LA and did a volunteer program called City Year. And we worked in schools like this where shit was going down. Like, I remember there was a kid who like lit a computer on fire and threw it out the window. There was, I unfortunately witnessed a student kick a kid during class and had to like report her, and fucking just, it's very wild west when it comes to public education in this country, at least as far as I've experienced, quote unquote bad schools, which, I hate that, but yeah, it's so close to home. So I love that Quinta decided to use this as the premise for this type of comedy, and it's such a great vehicle to involve stories around Black womanhood. Some of these characters, man, like Janelle James as Ava Coleman, the principal. Oh my God. She's like a doomsday prepper. She is totally out for herself, don't care about nobody, no kids, no teachers. Janine asked for money for rugs, and she pushed Ava to get it, and then when she finally gets it, she goes out and spends money on her hair. So she's absolutely terrible and perfect. This character, Chris Perfetti as Jacob Hill. Oh my God, William Stanford Davis as Mr. Johnson, the janitor. Oh my God, hysterical. early on they're watching the news, and he's like, yeah. He's like, I love when the teachers watch the news because I can tell them whatever they want, and he's like, I'm going fishing for the day. So nobody cares. He skips out of school. Uh, you know, just hilarious. We've got Cheryl Lee Ralph as Miss Howard. Miss Howard's like that Christian teacher getting her nails done every week who has just got everything, appears like she's got everything together, and strict with the kids. Like they revere her, and so good. Oh man, you gotta go check out this TV show. It's this constant struggle about Janine trying to make a difference. Very, very Leslie Knope, but like so much. I don't know. So much more fun for me to watch at this point because it's Quinta Brunson, and I think a lot of people who followed her for a long time feel that way too. It's just so excited to see us doing it. So. Oh, and I can't forget Tyler James Williams as Gregory Eddy, also hilarious, comes in as a substitute. He was interviewed to be principal of the school, but something happened with Ava Coleman, deacon of the church, I don't know. And so something shady. So he's a substitute at the school, and he also plays a hysterical character who just doesn't know what's going on. Just showing up, doing his job. Mom brings a student in super late because of her shift, when her shift starts. And Miss Howard invites Gregory Eddy's character to the nail salon because she knows that family. She knows this mother of this child, and guides in talking about what kind of nails she wants with the nail artists. She's like guiding him in being able to have this like awkward conversation with the parent about bringing her son in to school so he can learn everything else and be up with everybody else. So just incredible. Like, I'm loving this show so much. It's awesome. I can't wait to see what else they give us. And go Quinta. You know what I mean? Go Quinta. I don't know if this is the last time like I'll talk about. I'm sure we'll circle back around to these shows. But as far as kicking off the season, these were pretty great. So thank you, ABC, for paying Black creators who we love and trust to deliver great stories. Thank you. I will put links, of course. Also, I just like with this podcast, if you make the type of wage, like I don't know what a normal livable wage is for the common person. I don't know. I've just been in the art world for so long and just like trying to get grants and stuff. Like I don't really know what wages come down to, but in this climate and everything, if you can't stream it with your package or whatever, I recommend popping on Amazon Prime and renting or even buying, but like after the season's finished streaming, you can probably buy the full season for less than like each episode individually. But this money is not wasted, this money is showing the networks that are paying these creators to make this content that we want it. So I would say, if you don't got it, you don't got it. And I've been that person to like illegally stream and stuff and VPN and this and that. But I'm trying to be better. And even though I can't afford a lot of stuff a lot of times, like whenever it comes to music, like songs and stuff, I'm always buying the music because come on, $1, like, and even with these episodes, okay, maybe it's like $2, $4, and it adds up. Sure, like if there's 20 episodes, $2 times 20 is $40. But again, that is not that much money in the grand scheme of things. And support this art. Like, we need to support this art. So if you can't buy it, you can tweet about it, or like, you can, there's just so many ways to put good energy and bring like positive things that we want to see forward. We do have that power, and it comes with our wallet. So yeah, that's my little spiel about like supporting the creators and stuff. And let's roll into the film section after this short break. Movies. Film. All right, so we're back. Welcome to Low Power Mode with Breezy, a podcast where we talk about Black entertainment, queer entertainment, badass womex, and intersectional feminists. Just, I don't know, everything that's considered outside of dominant culture, mainstream, blah, blah, blah. So we're still figuring it out. And this is the first episode, so you haven't missed much. We are on the film section, and the film that I want to analyze today is from 1972. And before I let you know what it is, I want to tell you that over the past, especially 5 years, I have limited the amount of content that has mostly white people in it in order to kind of even out what I grew up with. So it's a bit unique for me to have chosen this film, but because it features a gay icon, and because I kept hearing her name on Drag Race, to be honest, I know. Maybe I should know, but I didn't. So, okay, so I saw through my brother's subscription of HBO Max, shout out Parker, thank you for that, that Cabaret is available to stream. So I did not know what I was in for. I knew that Liza Minnelli was a singer and a bit of a comedian and an actress and a gay icon. That's all I knew about Liza Minnelli. I need a sip. Hold on. Okay, thank you. It's just like when I'm performing. Hold on, I just need to take a sip from this bottle. Thank you for bearing with me. But Liza Minnelli, I just had no idea what to expect. And Cabaret, I remember at summer camp in Rhode Island where I grew up, I was doing like some theatery things with the summer camp. It wasn't a full-on theater camp. It was like sports and like, arts and crafts and all the things that you do in summer camp. But I remember specifically being involved in the theater in this camp, and I remember that song. So someone must have played it, like one of the, like teenage like counselors, or so like one of the, I don't know who, must have played it and put it on. And so I knew from cabaret to cabaret to cabaret, like I knew this. That's about it. So when I began watching this movie, and it was like, I think I read the description underneath HBO Max. So I saw that it took place in Berlin, and Berlin is such a loaded city with so much history, so much culture, so much to unpack, so many different international effects on the culture. So it's just super interesting. And 1931, so like before the Holocaust, like before like the full reign of Hitler, I didn't even know, and I've lived in Germany, that it was called Weimar Germany. So this takes place in a club that also, if you've been in Berlin in the past, I don't know, like pre-corona, the Kit Kat Club is still alive and running. And so I don't know that they shot there specifically, like what is the Kit Kat Club today in Berlin versus where they shot Cabaret. But in the 70s, it was still West Germany and East Germany. It was still West Berlin and East Berlin. And you can feel that in the city today, even though the wall came down in 89. You can still feel that today. So, yeah, was it 89? Shoot, I am the worst with history and stuff, but just know that I know general decade, and then you can go look it up on Wikipedia. So, yeah, so this film is wild. Basically, Liza plays this character, Sally Bowles. Oh my God. And I haven't even given any background. So it was a show. It was a Broadway show in the 60s. And it was based off of a book, or like an autobiography of Isherwood was his name. Isherwood. And Isherwood. Again, this is what Google is for. So I'm giving you the ballpark, and you can find your own base. Oh God, terrible metaphors. So we're in Berlin, and the author of the story, like the person whose life it is a gay man, and he comes from Cambridge, from England, from the UK, over to Germany to kind of like live as a gay man. You know, I think if you're not in a culture that accepts gay people, you have to go to a place that accepts gay people in order to kind of like fully live your life. And so, yeah, I feel confident in saying that. So, yeah, it's wild. He goes over, he, kind of goes to this club scene and sees this creative, theatrical, vaudevillian, what's it called with this strip? What's it called? Where it's not like full ass strippers, but it's like back in the old days, and they still do it now. Oh, escaping me. But this kind of culture, as the country is, getting ready for a huge momentous event. So you kind of have this like tingling energy in the air, and I'm sure that's true throughout his book, the play, as well as the film. But it's about him going to Germany, kind of experiencing nightlife and kind of being pulled away from like the not only the straight life in the sense of like heterosexuality, but the straight life in the sense of you eat this for breakfast and you work during these hours and you get a good night's sleep and like all of this stuff. So he arrives in Berlin and is looking for a place to stay, and he finds this boarding house where Sally Bowles lives, and she also like a character based off of a real person. Um, she is just like just kind of, I wouldn't normally use this word, but dashing. Liza Minnelli as Sally Bowles, like just darling, like, and I've known so many people like this, not just in Berlin, in LA, in New York, who are just kind of like so in their own world and creating their own world for themselves. And there's a beauty in that and there's a horror in that. But she's just kind of all over the place. She greets him in. She, at first she doesn't let him in. She's trying to speak German and it's terrible. And she asked him for a cigarette, and then they start to get to know each other. And she tells him she works at the Kit Kat Club, and throughout the film, which was directed by Bob Fosse, none other than Bob Fosse, which I also learned about through RuPaul's Drag Race. But incredible choreographer and like definitive of so many films and things that have influenced things, and just someone you gotta know, especially if you're like big into queer culture and the theater and all of this stuff. So he had bombed his last movie called Sweet Charity, and so they were super hesitant to kind of bring him on. But his work is brilliant in the numbers, the choreography, the costuming, the way that they film these numbers of the Cabaret is just stunning. And it's really the host carries the story through. Like, you have the Kit Kat Club and what's going on at night, and this raunchy, smoky, boozy side of things, and then you have like the light of day, which seems much more clean, quote unquote, bright, colorful, and yet people are getting killed in the streets because of Nazis. And so it's super wild. So essentially, I don't want to like give you, like full summary. I kind of want to just talk about what this film meant for me watching it. Because I love the use of film and of course music, and I read some reviews afterwards, and they said Cabaret it's like the musical that's made for people who hate musicals. And it's so true, just in the sense of like, it's not this happy thing, and it's not this like rock opera. It's taking something super dark and adding like music representative of the times and exploring sexuality and all of this stuff. So this movie, I went to it because of Liza Minnelli, and I came out with like, holy shit, that was incredible. So where are we? So there's numbers. We're going back and forth between the Kit Kat Club and what's like progressing in the story. And in the story, it's great. She has this line like, "Doesn't my body drive you wild with desire?" Something like this. And, she's just like automatically trying to, to fuck him. And he's like, and she's like, "Oh, are you even into women? Like, what's like, if you're not, I won't bother you." And he's like, "Well, I've been with 3 women and it's never really worked out," like kind of insinuating that he's gay. So there's kind of this understanding between them, like, okay, we're friends. And she like gives him a kiss, and it's like very cute and like, love it. So things kind of progress. She meets, Sally Bowles meets this guy. All I remember is that in real life, his name is Helmut, which is like one of the most German names ever. What's his name? Because I know there's Sally and Brian. Brian's the guy from the UK playing this Christopher, Isherwood character. And Sally Bowles is representative of like Joan Ingersoll or something. I don't know. And so there's this third guy. He's like a baron, and he's this German, wealthy West German, blonde, hair, blue-eyed guy. And Sally's doing her laundry and struggling with auf Deutsch, and he comes in, suavely helps her, speaks in Deutsch like what she wants, and she immediately is like, "Oh, who are you? Thank you so much. Let's spend the day together, darling." So they do. She kind of gets swept up in this thing with him, but there is also this element with the third guy, like her friend. She's developing this relationship with Brian, and so the three of them kind of get into this situation, I want to call it situationship, where basically like he's super hesitant at first and like, oh, like I'm not about this guy, like I kind of like you, and he's starting to like Sally Bowles, but this German guy is very alluring, and so he kind of lures them both back to his West German mansion. And oh my God, I mean, like it's like a Schloss, like a palace. And he can have this room and she can have this room for the weekend and whatever. And so but it's wild because there's a scene on the way there where Brian is kind of like has more of a sensibility around what's happening with Nazi propaganda, and the other two are very like sort of waving it off. So Sally's talking about like trite things on the way to this mansion of the barons, and as they go through the street in the light of day, a black man is dead in the street, and everyone around surrounding the shopkeepers, the fruit sellers, like everyone's just standing there like still. There's no movement, just standing there still as they have this perfectly light and lovely conversation about where they're going, da, 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 da. And so I think that's an example of what this film does so well, and something that I love in film and what I strive to do with my stuff is like combine really dark shit and what's kind of like the reality, quote unquote, of the times, politically, racially, like whatever's going on, and then there's moments of beauty within that. And I think the Cabaret, it's great because they have these musical numbers and things, and they're dark and they're twisted and perverted and awesome and like hilarious and just stunning and beautiful. And to have that juxtaposition, that's where this film just sweeps me away. So we get to the Baron's house. I need some water. Hold on. All right. Jeez. We get to the Baron's house, and they have this like boozy night together where, they've been drinking and smoking and all day, and there's like a fire, and Brian is kind of like on his own, and Sally and the Baron are like giggling and laughing, and there's sexual tension and dancing, and there's a moment I love where Brian he literally like goes behind this plant, like kind of hides like a jungle leopard, like just kind of peeking through, but being very shy and demure. And then he kind of like makes a joke and busts through and says hello, and even though they're dancing together, there's this like evenness around the tension, the sexual tension or whatever it is. So he goes and has some more to drink, and then like they're like, come dance with us, come dance with us. And then they're all three of them are kind of whirling around, and there's this beautiful scene where it's the use of close-up shots is so powerful in this film, and so that it's very close up of like the three of them, and they're like, you know, kind of fucked up, and you know, it's the firelight, and it's so like sensual, but nothing happens. No one is trying to like make out with each other or anything. It's just these kind of like nuzzles and like glances and stuff, and it's super hot and super sexy, and you're just like, holy shit, like this was 1930s Berlin. And I know that this culture was there because even though I showed up in 2015, it was still there. And so I just to see this kind of like bi representation was really cool, even if just for like a moment, you know. Also, I think it's really powerful, instead of like they had sex, it's like, no, like to build the tension and to show human emotion and love and physical manifestations of that love without having to show like fucking, you know. It's just it's something I appreciate in film. Not to say I don't love like a good dirty, you know, stripper or whatever, but there's something really special about the lack of like sex that you see in this film. So where are we? So they have this moment, then Brian passes out because of like too much alcohol, likely. And when the three of them meet at the club early on, there's a moment where the Baron says like, here, try this drink, a German specialty. It's called Türkenblut, like Turkish blood, and it's cringy, like oof, because there's a huge Turkish population in Berlin and in Germany. Turks were really brought in after the war to help rebuild the city and rebuild. Much in the same way that, like, I would say, like many Latinx, like Mexican immigrant folks, like come to the U.S. to make a better life, come to a better economy, send money home for the family, or whatever it is. And so this dynamic I felt immediately when I first lived in Germany in 2015, this sort of hierarchy of like, there's German, and then there's Turkish, and then there's like many things in between. But to speak to this like German Turkish tension was, wow, like they really pack it in the script. No line is wasted. So then Sally is sleepy. They're kind of like on their way back to Berlin, and the two of them, Brian and the Baron, go to this like open air gathering, and they still use this term open air more often to refer to like music related events or gatherings, but yeah, just like open air thing. And so it's this like gathering. It's like a picnic of like super West German, like country West German folks at like a Gasthaus in the countryside, and the use of close up. Okay, so there's this. So apparently Kander and Ebb, the songwriters of many of the songs in the film, they wrote this song to reflect. Wait, let me look it up, because I don't want to rely on my memory, but it is really chilling, and I think they titled it perfectly. Tomorrow something. Hold. Wait with me. Okay, here we are. Cabaret film. So Okay, I was right about Christopher Isherwood. Nice. Kender and Ebb. Tomorrow Belongs to Me. How creepy is that? Tomorrow Belongs to Me. Now, when I think about this, yeah, I think like right wing, like fascist. I think, wow, what an entitlement, what a colonial like anthem. And two Jewish men wrote this to not to take an actual Nazi anthem, but to stylize it, you know? So there's a young boy, probably 15 years old, towhead, blonde hair, and you see a close-up of his white, bright face, and he starts singing, like kind of sweetly, but kind of like intensely, and slowly but surely they pan out. You know, he's like, tomorrow belongs to me. And then it's like, slowly they pan out and you see, oh, shit, this is a Nazi. He's got the armband and everything. And can we talk about how gay the Nazi look is? Alana Glazer talked about this in her stand-up on Amazon Prime. You should check it out. But, oh my God, the haircuts, the knee socks, the collared shirts. I mean, it's very homo. I don't know how else to put it. It's cool. It's funny when you look at it through the queer lens. Let's just put it that way. So you zoom out, you get this Nazi kid singing this song, and then you see like the women and the children and the men and everyone like kind of starts to chime in. And they do show this one older man who's sitting in between two people who have now stood up and are doing this like chanting this like song. You see his disdain. You see he knows what's going on. And I appreciate that consciousness outside of our main character of, oh shit, like this is not headed in a good direction. And by the end, everyone's belting, like everyone's like spitting and like, you know, like just at the top of their lungs, like forcefully. It's scary, but so beautifully done, like scarily beautifully done. And in the beginning of the film, when Brian and the Baron kind of meet, and Brian speaks to how fucked up like the Nazi propaganda is, the Baron's kind of like, well, they'll control the communists and then we'll control them. And Brian's like, who's we? What? And after they leave this sort of picnic party thing, Brian's like, do you still think you can control them? Because that's what he said. Do you still think you can control them? And what a great point. I mean, and who is we? I mean, like you just see so many blurred lines. So they get back to Berlin. For a while, he's still around and he wants them to go to Africa. And there's this whole dialogue about his time in Africa, which is also juxtaposed with like very intense images. And it's just it's very artistic the way that they edit the film, the visual components of the film to the script and to the music and everything. So, but eventually they get back to the cabaret and back to West Berlin. And Brian finds out that Sally is pregnant. And she's pissed. She wants to be an actress. She's not happy with this. She's gonna have to sell the mink coat that the Baron bought her to have the abortion. And you know, Brian's super sympathetic and he's like, do you know whose baby it is? And she's like, I have no idea. I guess we'll never know. And it's a heavy moment. And then eventually he kind of like, they both go to their room and then he comes back out and he's like, I want to marry you. And he makes this decision that he really loves this woman, and in case, I missed that no, but this comes out later. So yeah, at this point, everyone's having sex with each other. But there's this great moment where Sally, she's, Brian's frustrated because of the Baron's presence in Sally's life and how he kind of makes her look like this gold digger and stuff. And he's angry with her, and he says, screw the Baron, like, screw this guy. I forget what his name is still. Wait, I'm on the page. Is this character here? It must be. Character. Okay, well, it says Baron. Oh, Maximilian, of course. Maximilian von Heurer. So Maximilian, he's like, screw Max. And she's like, I do. And then he cracks up and he's like, I do too. And they have this beautiful moment of like, damn, okay, we're not saying straight or gay or this or that. It's like, yeah, we're all having sex with each other. and Brian's kind of actually Sally's kind of the last to know because yeah, she kind of gets upset when she finds out, but then I don't know, there's a lot of beautiful moments of this gray area between traditional things such as having a successful career or being wealthy or like following your dreams, and it moves into this like super gray area of, well, what if one of has a baby and then like it just gets very gray. And I really, again, appreciate this about this film because you have so many gray areas. A side plot is that Brian is tutoring, I guess it's a main plot, I don't know, a subplot. Brian is tutoring, do we have his character here? They call him the gigolo, but don't think, like, I kind of felt like pimp, but no, he's just this like German looking guy. What's his name? Where is he? Is it Ralph? No. It's Fritz. I think it's Fritz is his name. Fritz Wendel. So he is a pupil of Brian, who's an English teacher. Brian tutors to make a living, and so he's tutoring this guy Fritz on his English, and this guy's just frustrated. Let's put it that way. He's very frustrated, and with language, with sex, everything. And he hears that Brian works with a Landauer or knows a Landauer, and apparently the Landauers are some of the richest Jewish people in Berlin. And so Fritz like immediately wants to get with this woman who's coming over for English who's also being tutored by Brian. And so he sticks around for an introduction, blah, blah, blah. They end up kind of meeting and having a thing, and he is acting as though he's German and she's Jewish. And so as he kind of advances on her, she is like, she loves him, but she's like, I can't marry you. Like, my parents are not going to be down with me marrying a German guy. And the gag is, he's Jewish and pretending to pass as German. And he's afraid that if he becomes honest with Natalia, is it? What's her name? Marissa? Natalia. If he becomes clean with Natalia about how he's Jewish, that she won't want him, which doesn't really make sense. But then he'll be found out, and then he'll be beat by Nazis with a club. And so the fear, that was struck in people is really represented by this character, Fritz, who is going after a rich Jewish woman in West Germany and ends up being Jewish himself. I mean, I say you can't write this stuff. They did, but this is a true story, and I'm sure there are elements of Fritz Wendel and Natalia Landauer in the book, like in the original book about Christopher Isherwood's life. So just fascinating. Eventually, Maximilian is like, oh, I have to go away to Argentina on affairs, blah, 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 whatever. And Sally and Brian kind of, she ends up having an abortion, and at first he's angry, and then they reconcile, and she's like, and I love too this sort of thing. She comes back, oh my God, it's so beautifully done. There's a kid who drops a ball down a staircase, and she's walking into what is like the doctor's office with the mink coat on. And she picks up, it's a red ball, and she picks up the ball, hands to the kid, and then they flash to the cabaret, and these really like red and intense, loud, sing-songy like scenes, like quick flashes of that in the edit. And then she's coming back from after her abortion. So like this, again, this abstract visual representation of her having an abortion. And then she comes back and she speaks with Brian about it, and he's angry. He wanted to live with her back in the UK in a little house and be an English professor and her raise the baby, and she don't want that. She wants to be an actress. She's been clear the whole time, even though she's been delusional and she has daddy issues and all this stuff. So she gets it done, and it's empowering. It's awesome. It's really awesome to see this character in the 30s being like, no, I don't want this life. And she tells him, I don't want to go back with you and raise a baby. Like, I want to be an actress. How long would it be until we were hating each other? And it's, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because how many couples needed an intervention like this? And Eliza Minnelli plays the Sally Bowles character so kind of flighty and ditzy and not raunchy, but flirty, and but she just wants to be an actress. That is her goal, and she'll do whatever she needs to do to get there. And that's still the case with women, like in terms of the agency that women have. So it was wild. It was super wild to see this depiction of this abortion that she has with this guy who's like a gay man who like wants to raise his baby with her. It's crazy, but it's great to see. And they kind of end where she brings him to the train station. It's really hard. You can tell she loves him. He loves her, but he goes back to the UK. He's kind of finished with his jaunt in Berlin with the Cabaret. And the opening credits are completely silent. I was like, is my volume working? And it's focused on like a statue or sculpture, like shiny metallic sort of thing. So you can see a reflection of who's sitting at the small round tables of the cabaret in front of the stage. You can kind of see, because it's a very close up of this metallic-y shiny thing that reflects the room. So they start there in the very beginning, and then they kind of like zoom out, and then you see, oh wow, we're at the Cabaret. And they end there. They end with the Cabaret, and they zoom into this sculpture thing. And Joel Grey, as the MC, he leaves the stage, and they zoom in on this sculpture thingy, and you see a shit ton of people in the crowd with Nazi armbands. And so it's this impending sense that the Nazis are closing in, and the credits are silent again. And it's phenomenal. I went straight to IMDb and Wikipedia to look things up about this movie, and I had no idea Liza Minnelli was the daughter of Judy Garland. No idea. I mean, yeah, I've not been a part of the white gay scene. Maybe if I had been, I would know that. But again, I know RuPaul loves Judy Garland, so I knew the name Judy Garland, but I didn't necessarily know that's Dorothy. But until I watched Drag Race, and then, wow, this podcast is like so inspired by. No, it's like my gay knowledge is inspired a lot by Drag Race. So yeah, Judy Garland. And I was reading about their stories, Liza Minnelli and Judy, because these are like divas, gay icons, classic actresses in kind of like, well, Judy, old Hollywood, and Liza, the ever-changing Hollywood. Like Liza was in Arrested Development, so, like she's around today. But I read in their stories that I thought was interesting was that Liza was married to a man who came out as gay, like a gay man. And I mean, she had many different husbands, but one of them was gay. And I myself I'm kind of sexually confused because I've had a lot of like intimate experiences with gay men. So I'm not really sure how that plays out when I have a vagina and identify as non-binary, with like gay men who on the Kinsey scale, like as like a 6 or someone would only want to have sex with men, cisgendered, like biological, men. So there's something to the gender and sexuality piece here in their personal stories. So Liza was married, and then come to find out, Judy Garland, her parents were vaudevillians, not a surprise, but her father would send her mother and the kids away from the house for him to entertain male visitors. So her father was a gay man who had a full ass family that he sent away with them knowing, and lived his gay life as well. And I mean, damn, and they'd have to like sleep in the car because of that. Like, there's a lot to unpack there. And it was awful to find out that Judy had been, kind of forced into the industry and been given barbiturates, was it? Or, uppers to be able to make it through these productions, and was left, after the industry was through with her, with addictions that eventually like took her life at like 47 or something ridiculously young. And with Liza, I think she also struggled with alcoholism and drug use, and like Andy Warhol remembers her like showing up at a party and being like, give me every drug you got. And it's devastating because there's so many of like the divas and women in music, women on stage who I look up to and whose sort of field that I'm in. I mean, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, Judy Garland, Amy Winehouse. There's so much devastation. Even like when I think about Janet Jackson and what happened to her from the Super Bowl and how society treated her. And it's not safe being I don't know how to categorize it because I'm thinking through my queer lens as well, but certainly not for women, not for no Aaliyah, not for no TLC, and we all herald Beyonce, and she is one of the only divas I think that we've seen, especially in the Black community, who has been supported day in and out by her parents, and that kind of protection that you get from that. I think so many people, I mean, I moved to Berlin alone to pursue the entertainment industry, to pursue being a rapper and being on stage and coming into myself. And it's scary when there's a shit ton of drugs around and a shit ton of traumatized folks who are like in the poppy fields, like denying reality in scary ways. And so I felt a sense in Berlin of what Cabaret depicted in terms of like the drug and alcohol not so much drug use in this, but like the only thing they're practically never eating, they're drinking always. She has this thing, what is it, the prairie, blanking again, prairie something, but it's like brandy with an egg in it. A raw egg, disgusting, but sure, of the times. Raw egg and everything. I mean, convenience, depression era, I don't know. But yeah, this Cabaret, there's so many intersections, so many historical things going on. If you live in Berlin and you're listening to this podcast, they live at Nollendorf 17, so right off the Nollendorf U-Bahn, another like gay centric area, like gay focused area, and yeah, having lived very near there with a gay roommate, it was very like, oh my god, why do I feel so close to this story when it was shot in the 70s and it was the 30s, but there's still so much there. So no matter if you're German or you're from the States or you're from anywhere, there's a lot to be taken out of this film. And again, I don't center on like white stories generally, but after having lived in Berlin, white becomes very tricky when you have German, Turkish, Kurdish, Lebanese, Armenian, like the Middle East, like white becomes something different. Israeli, Palestinian, you know what I mean? Like Palestinian, Israeli, like it's very tricky in terms of oppression and race. It's so far from the States where we're like, give you the up and down and we're like, okay, these are my assumptions, stamp. No, there's a lot more going on. So highly recommend this film. If you have HBO Max, then you can stream it. But if you live outside the US or something, I would buy it. I really would. I would buy the film. Who knows? Maybe I might like purchase it or something, because who knows what the future of these streaming platforms are. But in Liza Minnelli, I saw that Bob Fosse did like a live music special with Liza Minnelli where she reprises her role as Sally Bowles and does the music from Cabaret. and it's called Liza with a Z. So I'm super excited to watch that because Liza on stage, I mean, she's just incredible, and incredible as an actress, incredible as a singer, incredible as a dancer. She's got it all. And so it's so cool to go back and see this. Highly recommend. And that's going to conclude our film section. I'm going to take a quick break and close it out with the last segment. Hey, listen, sometimes you gotta check in with yourself.
Check in with yourself.
Okay, so I want to thank you so much for doing this with me, for being an early listener. Shoot, it is harder to do a podcast than I thought. This was very hard. I had to do it over the course of 2 days, and it's difficult to kind of like synthesize everything you want and to plan, but not plan too much. And I really give it up for podcasters, and I'm excited for this journey to become better at podcasting, but also to continue, giving life, breathing life into the content that I love, and share what's going on with my own career and stuff like that. So this last segment I want to call Come Back Home, and it's a check-in. I have a song called Come Back Home, and the idea was write a song to your inner child. So I love this idea of checking in with your inner child, your inner self, the kid who didn't get what they needed when they needed it, and since then has learned to fend for themselves. And we all have that inside of us. And when we check in and we listen to what our inner self needs and wants and finds joy in, I find it so helpful to guide myself as an adult through my inner child. So, I want to check in and say for myself that it has been crazy difficult journey with medication that I've gone on for the past 14 months or so. I was at a breaking point in the summer of 2020. I was losing it, and I forced my therapist to give me information to how to get a psychiatry appointment, for how to get on some medication, because I was homeless I was living with friends, staying with friends, but when you don't have your own space, it's tough. And so it's tough to do things you need to rehearse and do, you need to be in your own mind, your own space for. So I'm so grateful to everyone who housed me and who I paid rent to or didn't, and who helped take care of me, because it was rough during Corona. And I got on one drug, tried it, was absolutely terrible. Got on another one. It was better, but just terrible side effects, like puking, nausea, overheating, just shit that makes it hard to get through day to day. And I got on a third medication a couple weeks ago, and it is not doing what I was hoping medication was going to do for me. So I'm currently in talks with a doctor who does what's the right way to say it? I don't know, medical, he's a proper psychiatrist, and they do psilocybin, so like mushrooms, or like MDMA or ketamine treatment. So it's kind of like using recreational, quote unquote, drugs to help with major depressive disorder and PTSD, which is something that the psychiatrist that I saw most recently and who I've been working with for the past few months, after hearing about my life and stuff, he was like, you should look into the diagnosis of PTSD. And I was like, I haven't been in an army. Like, what are you talking about? But then looking back, I see, like, now I understand what that means, even though I haven't explored it. So I was in therapy. I've seen so many therapists, and now I'm in a position where I'm looking for another one. And it's tough. Even when you're doing all the things that you can and decide you're going to take care of yourself, it's fucking tough. So, what if we're checking in and being really real, like, it's fucking hard. And I want to give my love to people who are struggling, not only with your identity or being who you are and people having a problem with that, but then also health issues, health conditions and things that set you apart from the average person, where you have this whole other awareness around like what is going to be able to happen that day in terms of ability and stuff. Like, my heart really goes out to you, and I'm with you, and keep taking care of yourself and checking in with yourself, and try to distract yourself and find joy, and when you can, check in with yourself and find those deeper things that you need that you're not getting, and try to identify on how to find them. It's not impossible for us to socialize. I know like meetup.com is a great website that I've used in the past to meet up to play like soccer or whatever with people. And sure, I was looking with my mom recently, and there's a lot to offer there. So virtually. So like my mom's into games, and I'm like, I can do like trivia with beer and I can do like, certain games, but we tried to play Scrabble the other day, and I'm just a disaster. I mean, I don't have patience. So I was like, you should do a virtual game group, It'd be so easy and fun. So there's ways. Try to keep your head up. And yeah, sending love out to you. Thank you so much again for joining me on this journey that is low power mode with me, your host, Breezy. It's vulnerable. Being honest, but it's time. And I'm happy that you're here with me and supporting me. And I will never take that for granted. And and I just one final note, my podcast is available exclusively on Patreon, because I have constantly been making my music available, and it's been awesome to see through Bandcamp how people have bought my music. But us artists, we need to get by, we need to live, and we need to deliver a product. And so I'm really excited about the product that I'm delivering, and I am asking for you to pay me for it. And it took me a while to be able to do that, but now I feel ready. And I've crowdfunded in the past and stuff for specific things, but given our current landscape with Corona and virtual everything, like I'm really excited to be moving into the podcast space now, because I think we need it, especially as brown queers, Black people, any transgressive type of folks, any subculture folks. So shout out to you. Subscribe and share this podcast with people. And until next time. Okay, bye. Tschüss. Ciao.
Low power mode. In low power mode. Been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear. I've been in low. I've been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear.